Hi, Facebook friends. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a confusion. We told you that we were going to do this yesterday and we had some technical difficulties. Had a few more this morning. I really wanted to get going at noon, but here we are. We're in the office here at Castle and Key because fortunately and unfortunately that's the only place that we have wireless connection, so the only place that I can do a live stream. But I do have two warehouse photos behind me to talk about, and then I can actually point the phone out the window to tell you a little bit more about the buildings because we can see them from the office. We've got great views up here. The office, just to let you know, because I think some of y'all will be curious, used to be the employee cafeteria, and we couldn't even get access to it when we first got to the site. There was no staircase, it was full of trash. So we've come a long way, and you might even notice that we have some stud walls up because we're going to be putting in offices, which is an improvement. We all have our own space and we can be a little bit more productive. So Warehouse B, I've mentioned Warehouse A in the past before. It had fallen down, so this was Warehouse A. It held about 15,000 barrels, and it was a bad snowstorm that collapsed the roof. The walls fell down, and this is what was left. So just the wooden ricking standing there, decomposing, so it had to be removed. But we've got a great new use for it. We're growing lots of herbs and botanicals for use in gin, which we're all really excited about, and hopefully we'll get that going here in a couple months. So get excited. This building down here is Warehouse B. So this was before we did any of the repair work, any of the tuck point. We had replaced a portion of the roof at this point. So Warehouse B is the longest warehouse of its kind in the world. It's not the largest. It only holds about 31,000 barrels, which is still quite a lot. It's 4.5 stories tall. One thing that Colonel Taylor, the original proprietor of our site, did for the industry is created this patent warehouse or steam cycling warehouse process. So all of the warehouses on site had steam lines run to them, and that's not just directly injecting steam into the warehouse, that's a dry steam. So it's steam going through pipes, and then the radiant heat is what heats the warehouse. And they were mostly doing this during the winter because they wanted the inside temperature of the warehouse to be above 50 degrees. Often, and the way that I've heard it sold before, you want it above 50 degrees because that's the point at which the whiskey in the barrel just becomes dormant. It stops moving in and out of the wood. So to heat it up even beyond that increases the pressure inside the barrel and pushes the bourbon into the wood even that much further. So that's what's so great about the Kentucky weather, the climate here, and the seasons, is that the barrel's constantly moving, the whiskey's constantly moving in and out of the wood. So let me actually just turn the camera around, point you out the window here. So there's Warehouse B. This is the ruin of Warehouse A, and you can see that the elevator shaft is still standing over there. So that's our ruin. So that's where all the herbs are, and then you can kind of see it down there, just the corner. You're looking at probably 1/8 of the warehouse there. So we are in the process still of renovating. We've got the roof complete. We've gone through and hammer tested all of the ricking, so we know that that's in good shape. We do have a few barrels in there. We're contract aging. So essentially we're just charging people rent to keep their barrels with us. So we have actually a little bit over 6,000 barrels. So yeah, we are redoing it. We don't have plans to steam heat it again, although, you know, it's such a cool part of what Colonel Taylor brought to the industry. I imagine we'll be looking at that in the future. What I'm really excited about is learning about this warehouse, learning about the flavors, figuring out top to bottom, you know, what products should go where. We will not be rotating the barrels. It just, in my opinion, it's too many man hours to do it, and I really appreciate the difference in the flavors. We got a question that says contract aging for whom, if you can say, and unfortunately I can't say. We're under a confidentiality agreement, but I can tell you it's not just bourbon in there, and we have products of all ages. So when you first walk in the warehouse, the barrels look really old, so we've had a lot of people say, are these original? But unfortunately, we don't have any of the old whiskey that was left behind. We had a couple random barrels. In fact, there was one barrel that had fallen into the bottom of our spring house, and we pulled that guy out. That looks like it had been on the Titanic. But yeah, and then again, just to reiterate, it's 31,000 barrels. It's got 4.5 stories. So that half story is just up there in the gable of the roof. That's where I plan to put our core bourbon, because it will get the most dramatic change in temperature. So there it is, Warehouse B, the longest warehouse of its kind in the world. It's got a brand new roof, been tuck pointed all the way around. And the next step is new windows, and then we'll work on ventilation. So we've still got some work to do, but she's in great, stable shape. And hopefully in a couple months, when we get the stills up and going, we'll be putting our barrels on the top floor. So if y'all have any other questions after the video is over, just definitely keep commenting, share, and you can always find me on my page too at Mary Ann Barnes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.